Most ALTs have one school. How do you have time to plan lessons for 5 different schools?
I still struggle with it, definitely. On average, I'll have about 22 to 24 classes per week.
Are you happy in your situation, or are there days where you just wish you had a more typical one school? That's so interesting. Like, this is such news. I didn't know ALTs did this kind of stuff. Hello and welcome back to my channel where I talk about Japan and the JET program. So if either of those things interest you, then be sure to subscribe. So as you guys can see, I have a guest with me today. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Jikishokai, onegaishimasu.
Hello everyone, I'm Kasha, I'm from Canada, and I've been on the JET program since August 2019. And I am in a little bit more of an unusual situation in that I was placed in 5 elementary schools.
5 different schools, that is wild. Most ALTs have one school, maybe 2, like I know a few ALTs with a visit school they go to once a week, but 5 different schools, that is crazy. I don't think when anyone's applying for the JET program, they have that as like something in mind. So we're gonna basically just have a conversation about that experience today. And then if you guys have any questions about it afterwards, then feel free to comment them below. Can you briefly describe your school situation to us?
Alright, so in my city there are 17 elementary schools and 3 elementary school ALTs. So we each take 5 schools with some junior high school ALTs kind of coming in and helping us out.
And you're also the first elementary school ALT that I've had on this channel. So
really? No way! Okay!
So we're going to talk about that for sure.
Yeah.
But the first thing I want to know is, how surprised were you when you first found out that you were going to be assigned to like 5 different schools?
Oh yeah, I was really surprised. Like, in the whole JET application process, like you're looking at all of their YouTube videos, you're reading everything you can get your hands on. And like the norms seem to be, like you said, it's the, like you have that one base school. In my case, while I did technically have a base school, it was very much a base school in name only. It was actually, okay, it was a smaller school, and that's probably why it was the school I visited the least. Like maybe 3 or 4 times a month.
Oh dang, so is the time between the schools split up evenly? Is it like...
The other 4. It's like one school will be like a Monday, Wednesday school, other one is like a Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, random Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay,
so you must have to really keep on top of it timetable-wise so you know where you're going every day?
Yeah, definitely. If I didn't check my schedule, it would just be like a big mystery.
So you have to travel quite far for some of them, or are they kind of...
So I go on my little bicycle, I craft across the city every single day.
Can you cycle to each of them though?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. That's
mostly.
Good.
One of them is uphill. I do my best, but I take the bus sometimes.
That's very valid. Anytime it rains, I'm a bus boy.
Yeah.
So when you found out you were getting 5 schools, how did that make you feel?
Low-key, just excited to be accepted.
That's fair. Oh, so you found out before you came here that you were having 5 schools?
That information coming in, the placement, being like, Hyogo's a really good location, right?
Because you're going to your school so infrequently, first of all, do you see the same kids every time you go to the school, or is it different classes every time you go?
Good question. So, I generally teach 5th and 6th graders between the 10 to 12 years old, and like across the 5 schools it was about 1,300 students. So like there are definitely students that were like, oh hey, like I remember you, like we'd like talk during like the break time, yokan yasumi, like we kind of come up, we have some good English conversations and everything. But then there are definitely moments where it's like, we just had the graduation, right? There was definitely a few students where it was like, hey, congratulations, I've never seen you before. But like I have.
Oh my god.
And it's just...
So given that, are you able to develop much of like a rapport and relationship with the kids, since it is quite infrequent, or is it more just like a blank slate every time kind of thing, every time you teach them?
It's not a blank slate. What really helps, I guess, is like I have like a little notebook, so I just like write all these notes like, hey, like 5-1 has like is like this kind of atmosphere. It has like these like students that are like kind of like standing out. I should like maybe focus more on like this one student. Like this student needs a little bit of extra help. That like really helps. But Yeah, it's difficult to build a rapport with them.
So what would you say is the most challenging aspect of having 5 schools?
Challenging aspect... It's likely exactly that, with all the 1,300 students, remembering who needs that extra help, remembering where, if you're coming to a school that you haven't been to for a week and a half, it's remembering what lesson you're on, what you're teaching that day. It's just a lot of communication with your teacher.
Yeah. For me, with one school, I spend the whole week kind of coming up with the following week's lesson. And making all the materials and everything. I decide what we're going to do in my classes and things. How do you have time to plan lessons for 5 different schools? Are they following the same kind of curriculum? Are you told what to do? Do you have to do any planning? That kind of thing. How does that whole thing work for you?
So all my elementary schools do follow one curriculum. They all have one textbook in my city. So we're all kind of going along the same path. The units are generally in the same order. So even yesterday, I spent an hour and a half kind of planning next week's lessons with my co-teacher. On days that I'm not there, days that I am there, kind of working together to figure out what we're going to do and everything. But generally it will be that co-teacher that's mainly planning out these lessons, especially for 5th and 6th grade. So
when you rock up to a school, how much time do you have to prepare before the lesson starts? Do you rock up, the JT's okay, here's what we're doing, let's go? Or do they send you the stuff in advance, online or some other way?
Well, I definitely want them to send me the lesson plans at least the day before, usually via line, sometimes via the portal email. Sometimes they forget, but most of the time they've gotten pretty good because I do push for it a little bit because you kind of need to. So
since you're going to school so infrequently, they must try and take advantage of the days that you are there. So on any given week, how many classes do you have? How much is packed in?
On average, I'll have about 22 to 24 classes per week.
Guess how many I have in any given week?
18, 17.
14. So how is that? Generally teaching that many lessons in a week? What's that like?
It's all it can be a lot for sure. The kids are all really, really cute. So they're all really smart. I have a good city in it. They're all very, very on top of things. How
is it dealing with such young kids? Is it difficult to hold their attention?
The younger years, definitely. You lose their attention and you can't help that. Even 5th and 6th grade, you cannot help that.
It's natural for such a young age.
You've kind of got to have the different stir or settle activities, bring them up, with the game, Simon Says, get them moving. Then have them fill out a little phonics worksheet, do some listening, do some reading. So you've got to kind of mix it up. And that's how you do it.
So when you're not teaching classes, for me, I'm just desk warming at my school. Do you alternate which school you go to when you don't have classes? Between terms, what are you doing?
Yeah, between terms, I'll either be taking time off, or more often, if I don't have a school to go to, if there's something happens, I'll go to my BOE.
You go to the Board of Education, not a school?
Yeah, to the City Hall Board of Education, yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's surprising.
That's it's my base right now.
So what do you do there? Are you just desk warming there when you've not got classes? What are you doing?
Last year there was a bit of a situation around the world. We had a little panini, a little pandemic. So what we did there was we kind of we took our digital materials, we took the textbook, we pulled all these different flashcards, we made a bunch of online materials, and we made a bunch of online videos for the kids. On a regular year, so when I just arrived in 2019, is going between the schools and teaching the teachers English. Not the English teachers, just the teachers, the science teachers, the homeroom teachers, teaching them doing little English lessons, little English lectures.
Okay. Okay.
So it's a month of preparing for that. Yeah.
Wow.
It's fun.
That's so interesting. This is such news. I didn't know ALTs did this kind of stuff. Oh my god, there's so many questions.
So when I first got here, there was a lot of teachers participating. There was a good 20 or so per school that we went to.
That's kind of nice you have something to do then, because desk warming is a big complaint for a lot of ALTs.
Yeah, I've heard. There was definitely some desk warming last year.
So 5 schools, what would you say is the best thing about it?
So this kind of goes hand in hand with like the worst thing I said earlier of not being able to see the kids like every single day, every single week due to just having so many schools, having so many students. It's that you get to be like that cool special teacher that like comes in every week, every 2 weeks. You have like that special lesson. It's usually like a little bit more fun. They're always just like so excited to see you. It just means like fun, you know?
That's so nice that you get to do that, because like, I mean, I've just started the term so everyone's curious, but every year, once we kind of get into it, there are students, or in some cases like classes, which just don't care. They don't care. They don't want to learn English. They don't like English, and they like do not look forward to my class where they know they have to use it. So that must be so nice to just constantly have positive energy. Oh my god.
Not always constantly, but like there are definitely some classes that are like, oh, English. Most of them are still really cute. You just have like a couple of those moments.
Fair enough, fair enough. So, you've been doing this for a year and a half-ish now?
Yeah.
Are you happy in your situation, or are there days where you just wish you had a more typical one school, 1-2 school kind of vibe?
I am happy with my situation. I have a really good situation with like my schools are all like really great. I mean, if my BOE had it in their budget to kind of like hire another ALT, get us down to 3 schools, I wouldn't complain. But I am happy in my situation. I think like I have it really good. Like
that's
location,
great.
Students, teachers.
Yay! What would you say? Would you give any advice to those who end up in a similar situation to you, or even potentially your future successor for when you leave? Hello!
Hello,
if you're watching.
So, I suppose this can go for like any ALT. When you first arrive at your school, you're likely going to have that first introduction like in the principal's office. At that moment, ask for like a school map, ask for like a pamphlet with like the teachers, like pictures, their names. It will save you so much, especially when you've got so many schools. There have just been moments where it's like, okay, I have to find this teacher to talk to them. Who are they? What is their name? Oh gosh, it helps a lot.
And so do you ask your principal for that directly?
Yeah, that is what I did, and I think like that's the easiest moment, just because like once you really get into the semester, everyone's so busy. Maybe another thing as well is it's really difficult, like when you have more schools especially. I think it's difficult normally, but it is especially difficult when you have more schools to kind of like really get like integrated into like the school community, the teachers, the students. I still struggle with it definitely, but like I try to like I participate in like the broadcasting club. I'll read some like English storybooks like during the lunch broadcast, or like there's like some other ways you can like participate in like brass band.
Oh yeah.
And like we did some like sports teams as well. So try and get involved if you can.
Did you have to like seek that out and be like, how can I get involved? Or did people say, oh hey, do you want to do this? Like
some things I had to like push myself, and other things were kind of like, what do you think about this? And then I just kind of like naturally progressed from there.
Fair enough. So finally, is there anything that we've not covered that you feel is worth mentioning, either about teaching 5 schools or being an elementary school teacher?
Okay. I mean, as an elementary school teacher, don't be afraid to be silly. The kids love it when you're just like jumping around and like playing with them like on their level. Like don't be afraid to like just be out there and just like be all like ganky, you know?
Super. Okay. Thank you so much for coming here for this. Like,
thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. This was honestly so interesting for me. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you found it interesting, then click that like button. If you have any questions for me or for Kasia, comment them below.
I'll be lurking in the comments.
And if you want to see more content about the JET program, then don't forget to subscribe. And if you guys want to see any behind the scenes content, any bonus content, things like that, then you can check out my Patreon page, which will be linked in the description. Where can people find you? You
can find me on my Insta if you like. I don't really post much, but I mean, we'll link it down below.
Thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.